And when it comes to CDs, I've actually made a little tier list of CDs. Made a little tier list here that I want to show you guys. Where I've taken all the major offensive cooldowns of the game, all the ones I feel like you should know. And I've compiled them into this. And I will try to give you a good idea of when to trade your cooldowns for what. Do remember though, like, this is not an end-all be-all list, you know. If one guy is like 80 yards away and somebody down there presses Combustion, don't dome that guy, like, because, oh, Filthy said I should dome when I see Combustion, you know. No, try to, like, use your own, you know, IQ, use your own brain. Try to consider, hey, is the guy actually gonna take any damage from this cooldown? But if he is, this is the cooldowns I think you should be trading for whatever offensive cooldowns happens. So, let's start with Avenging Wrath. Avenging Wrath is in the S+ tier. You want to trade major cooldowns, and you want to somehow avoid or run away from the Avenging Wrath. So you see Avenging Wrath, you immediately press dome. Like 99% of the time, that's going to be good. 99% of the time, that's going to be really good. Even a lot of cases, you'll end up pre-doming a stun, especially in 2v2. So you see Avenging Wrath, trade dome. And then, even then, Avenging Wrath hits so fucking hard that you might have to do more. You might have to press Rapture as well. So trade dome for Avenging Wrath. Maybe more. Maybe have your teammate press, you know, if it's a rogue, he can press feint. If it's a warrior, he can be defensive stance. And then, you know, as soon as you've got him topped up, he can run away. Like maybe CC the red or something. Next CD on the list is Invoke Xuen from Monks. 90% of the time, if they have CC for you, press Dome. Dome is such a good, like, you'll force him to use his Ring of Peace. If he doesn't have Ring of Peace, always use Dome. Usually what happens is, and I'm gonna put these a bit together. These three together. Because this one alone doesn't do that much. This one alone doesn't do, like, insanely much. This one is very strong. But if they use these three, Invoke Xuen, Weapons of Order, and StormEarthFire together, you need to trade cooldowns. It doesn't matter who you are. Like, you need to trade cooldowns because he will absolutely delete someone in 1 second. So, trade Dome for that. Trade Dome for that immediately. If he uses only one of them, maybe see what happens, you know, maybe just trade Rapture. But these three, like, and if you're stunned and it's on you, Trinket Dome, insta. Like, if he stuns you up and these three are on you, Trinket instantly. This is what makes Monks so strong. And you might have to trade more as well, because this lasts for 20 seconds. 20 to 30 seconds. This powerhouse of a triple cooldown combo. So you'll Trinket Dome, right? Let's say he doesn't have Ring of Peace. Usually he'll have Ring of Peace, but let's say he does have Ring of Peace, actually. You'll Trinket Dome, he'll knock you out of it, you Rapture yourself while in the air to take less damage, and then you move into the edge of the dome and keep Rapture spamming yourself just to survive. Just to take 0 damage from the Monk. And then, you know, for the next stun you have PS, and for the third stun you have Trinket Dome again, right? But yeah, that triple combo, use major CDs and run/avoid. Then you got Dark Soul from a Warlock. S tier. That means trade major cooldowns or run and avoid. So if you can line Dark Soul, that's the best case scenario, you know? Just go behind a pillar, don't press anything, just slowly heal your teammates back up. If you cannot line, if like a Destro Warlock presses Dark Soul, and you cannot get away, and he's getting Chaos Bolts on you, you cannot stop the Chaos Bolts, you cannot stop the incoming damage, you need to trade a cooldown. Usually this will not be Dome, because against Warlocks, like I said, I usually play with Small Dome, right? I play with Double Dispel. So usually this will be either one of your teammates' cooldowns, like let's say you're playing with a Rogue, it'll be Cloak. If it's a Warrior, it'll be like Parry plus Reflect, you know? If you're playing with a hunter, it'll be feign death into running away. If he's stunned, he'll have to trinket feign death and maybe trinket, you know, whatever. But from your perspective, what you can trade for this, if you do it right, you can trade Rapture. And trading Rapture for Dark Soul is so good, and it feels so good when you do it right. Basically, you see him casting Chaos Bolt with Dark Soul up. You Rapture the Chaos Bolt hit. Your teammate will take a little damage. Like, this only works if he's high health. He will take a little damage, but he will not take the full Chaos Bolt. And then you just keep Rapturing the next Chaos Bolt hits, you know? You Rapture some hits. If there's no one to dispel on the enemy team, you can just spam shields in that Rapture. But if there's a Dispeller in the enemy team, they will look to dispel your Rapture. So you want to try to Rapture right before the Chaos Bolt cast goes off. But best case scenario, Dark Soul is just go behind a pillar. Or somehow avoid the damage. Like, you can also fear the Warlock. You can also MC the Chaos Bolts. You can stun the Warlock. You can, you know, kick the Chaos Bolts. Do whatever you can to just make him not do damage during Dark Soul. Dark Soul would be up here if it wasn't avoidable. But it is very avoidable, so you just put it down here. Okay. Chill Streak. Chill Streak is one of those cooldowns that would be up here if it always has the optimized scenario, and would be down here if it always has the worst case scenario. So I'm going to put it in situational, right? Chill Streak hurts like an absolute motherfucker if you're stacked up with someone, right? And maybe you're stunned or something. So it's a very situational cooldown. If you get gripped in and you get double stunned and they press Chill Streak, use Dome. Dome is the strongest cooldown versus Chill Streak, because in Dome you can move a little bit away from each other and then the Chill Streak stops. And then you can still be in the Dome. But yeah, trade a cooldown if you can't get away from Chill Streak immediately. Because it'll do so much damage. Every time it hits the guy, it'll jump back and jump back and jump back. So on and so forth. Best case scenario for Chill Streak, though. Move a little bit away from each other. Have your teammate move this way. Have you move that way. And you only need to be... Let me show you. You only need to be... Like, if this is Chill Streak, you only need to be this far away. This far away, and then Chill Streak doesn't hit anymore. It's like 5 yards. So if you're this far away from each other, you know, it doesn't hit anymore. You should make a weak aura or something to see when Chill Streak is active. I actually have a weak aura. If you want the weak aura, let me know and join the Discord. Go into my stream, twitch.tv/Filthyzx, and then join my Discord by writing !Discord in the stream chat. You can do that even when I'm offline. And write to me. I actually think I got it inside my Discord. And you can get this weak aura, where I have Combustion, Vendetta, Grounding Totem, Infernal, Chill Streak, Dark Soul, Incarnation, and Icyveins on. And I use it mostly for Chill Streak, for Combustion, and for Grounding Totem. Those are like the 3 I use for the most. Right. So yeah, if you can break Chill Streak very fast, you probably don't need to use anything. But if you can't, use a cooldown. Alright. And we got Abomination Limb, the DK Covenant ability. So I would put it in situational, but the thing is, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, if they use this, they also use something else, right? So I'm going to put it up here, S tier. It hits very, very hard. If they prop cooldowns and then pop Abomination Limb, it hits super hard. So I put it in S tier because you can avoid it by outranging it. If you can do that, don't press anything. Just outrange the DK, run away, don't be in his loss. If you are in Abomination Limb getting fucked by the DK, trade a cooldown. Don't try to heal through it. He can, like, while you're casting, he can move away and grip your cast every second, and it's like the most annoying bullshit ever. So just trade Dome. Trade Dome for that. If you don't have Dome, trade Rapture. If you're like triple stacked up team, you got gripped in and stuff, throw Dome. Just throw it. Survive. Yeah, and they usually use this and then Chill Streak if it's a Frost DK, right? If it's an Unholy DK, they'd usually use Unholy Frenzy with Abomination Limb. And let's talk about Unholy Frenzy. Unholy Frenzy is another use a cooldown or fuck off, right? avoid the damage from the DK or use a cooldown. Don't tank a DK using cooldowns. Again, Unholy Frenzy will usually be used when he's doing a lot of damage. So the cooldown in and of itself just gives him haste and damage done, right? But it's not like you see this and then it's like, oh, I'm dead next global, you know? No, it's not like that. It's just more, you know, you want to use a cooldown if a DK has uptime on you with these cooldowns, right? Trade Dome. Dome is the best trade for this, or Rapture. Rapture is really, really strong. If they don't have a stun for you, if they don't have anything for you, just press Rapture if it's only on you. But if it's like on 3 on your teammates, you know there's a stun incoming, stuff like that, press Dome. You can survive the whole thing. Okay, let's go into the next one. Void Eruption. Very situational. This is the Shadow Priest, Void Eruption that he uses. Usually a Shadow Priest will Void Eruption because he wants to do a lot of damage and he'll do a go. But sometimes, Void Eruption can, be used to bait cooldowns from people. And it's one of the few cooldowns I feel like can be used like that. So when you see Void Eruption, just be aware of what comes next. If your teammate gets stunned up, be ready to press a cooldown. Be ready to press Rapture. The best cooldown in an optimal scenario to trade for Void Eruption is Rapture. If you can trade that, it's best. However, usually when they do it, they will also press Stun or Silence, right? And then you need to trade either PS or Dome. Or Trinket Melt, stuff like that. But the optimal scenario is Rapture. Okay. Shadowdance. Very situational again. Some rogues, have plenty of Shadow Dances. They'll press Shadow Dance every fucking 30 seconds and blink around and press 8s on you guys. But other rogues play with the one dance build. So I'll put this up here together with Shadowdance, Shadowblades, and Shadowdance. If you see a rogue press these two, don't be afraid to just press Dome. Don't be afraid, or Rapture if you're not in CC. But don't be afraid to, especially if your partner is dueled, don't be afraid to just immediately throw Dome on him, because incoming is a lot of damage. Especially if the rogue is playing one dance build, where he'll kill your teammate twice if you don't press Dome. And if you press Dome, he'll only kill him once, and you can just barely heal through it. Okay, so, this is, again, like a situational cooldown. You want, this is all about, these cooldowns in situational is all about having awareness while they happen. Like, knowing what else is going on. If if this is the only thing that happens, nobody gets stunned up, don't be afraid, just heal through it. But if your teammate gets stunned up and bombed, and these two gets pressed, you will most likely see a lot of damage incoming. And if your teammate gets dueled and these two gets pressed, it's not a bait. He's gonna press them to kill your teammate. But if he just presses them randomly, your teammate is in the 2 seconds left of kidney, you're on DR on poly or whatever, and then he presses it, he's just doing it to push some extra damage. He's not gonna randomly one-shot you, unless he still has duel and smoke bomb and shit available. So sometimes you don't need to trade anything, but beware of what's going on. Beware of your teammate's health. Beware of what's going on in the game. Like, are you about to get CC'd? Is there any other cooldowns? Like, is there a mage in the team who can combust as well? Stuff like that. But it's very situational. Alright. Next cooldown, Ascendance. Ascendance. If you're in line of Ascendance, this is an enhancement shaman I'm talking about. If you're in line of it, press a cooldown. Don't let them do damage to you without pressing a cooldown. The best cooldown for it is Dome plus Rapture. Like, I'm not even kidding. If a shaman Ascendances, and especially in double DPS or 3v3, right? If a shaman Ascendances, just, don't even be afraid to just Dome Rapture. Because you press Dome, he will still kill people through Dome if you don't press heals or Rapture. He will still, annihilate people through Dome. Especially if he's got, a warrior pressing Warbreaker and stuff at the same time. So don't be afraid to just trade Dome and trade Rapture immediately. Optimal scenario is that you avoid it by running behind a pillar, using Rapture to run behind a pillar with your team. So you press Rapture to give yourself speed and to give your little absorb while, he's throwing his wind strikes on you. You'll still drop, but if you know that you can avoid the rest of the Ascendance by spamming Rapture, spamming shields, just do that. Okay. And from that, let's go into Warbreaker. I'll put it here. S tier. Trade a major CD or avoid it. Warbreaker is contrary to what most people think. Most people see Avatar and go like, oh, warriors popping, right? Warbreaker. That one is the scary one, in my opinion. It hurts like it hits like a truck when you get Warbreaker. You take X% more damage from the warrior, and it's usually, the reason I put it in S tier is because usually when a warrior presses Warbreaker, it means that he wants to do a lot of damage to you. So if you're good at realizing, oh, Warbreaker, just put it on your Omnibar. I have it on my Omnibar, so I can see when he presses it. Put it on your Omnibar, and as soon as you see it, you're going to be like, okay, damage is incoming. So, and then you either avoid it, like by kiting the warrior, or CCing the warrior, or doing something like that, or press a cooldown. And that can be Rapture or Dome, and if you're stunned, PS, right? But most optimally, either Rapture or Dome. Those are both really, really good for Warbreaker. If you're not going to get CC'd, press Rapture. If you don't have a lot of mana, press Dome. If you want to save mana, press Dome. Don't press Rapture. Don't spam shields with Rapture. It costs a lot of mana. But yeah, when you see Warbreaker, press something or avoid it. Avatar is situational. If he presses it with Warbreaker, it's up here, right? But it's situational because sometimes you'll see Avatar from a warrior who's rooted. He'll just press Avatar to get out of it. If he presses Avatar to get out of the root, of course, be aware of what he presses next. If his next global is Warbreaker, press a cooldown or get the fuck away. But if he just presses Avatar to get out of the root, maybe he's low health or something, don't like immediately press Dome because you see Avatar. Press Dome if, you know, he charges the team in Warbreakers and starts pumping. But again, just be aware of what's going on other than Avatar. Like Avatar in and of itself, all it does is increase the warrior's damage by 20%, and that is a lot, but it's not so big that, you know, your teammate is gonna get one shot into 1 second. It's not like if you don't react, it's over. That's these cooldowns. If you don't react within the next few seconds, it's over. You've lost. But yeah, it's not like how it is with Avatar. You have a few globals to realize what's going on. So give yourself, next time you see Avatar, give yourself a little bit of you know, a few seconds, see what the warrior presses, and be ready to react to it. Let's go on to Combustion. Okay. Combustion is another, I'll put it here because it's so scary. The only thing that does as much damage as Wings is Combustion. And the absolute best way to deal with Combustion is avoiding the damage. Because Combustion, it does so much damage. When you see a mage press Meteor, and then, you know, he presses Combustion and pops his shit, whoever he's looking at will die if nothing is pressed. 100%. There's no way you survive that, ever. Like, it doesn't matter if you have cheat death, it doesn't matter if you have, like, your Vengeance Demon Hunter with fucking auto survive or whatever, you will die through. Same with Wings. So, when you see Combustion, trade a major cooldown as a general rule of thumb. Like, remember, if you have a different way of somehow completely avoiding the damage, of course, do that in every case, no matter what cooldown this is. If you're standing next to a mage who's combusting on your teammate, and the healer is in CC, of course, don't press Dome. Press Fear, right? If you have it, Fear the mage, or something like that, you know? If you somehow have a way to completely shut off the cooldown, make it not exist, just do that. But 90% of the cases here, when you see Combustion, press a cooldown. If you're stunned, press PS on your teammate. If you're blinded, Trinket immediately and press Dome or Rapture or whatever. Like if there's a smoke bomb Combustion, Trinket Dome immediately. Doesn't matter. Like your teammate is dead. And if it like for the teammates out there, if you're rogue, the best cooldown to trade for Combustion in the game is Cloak of Shadows. It completely just shuts off Combustion. If you're a hunter, the best cooldown in the game for Combustion is Roar of Sacrifice. I'm not even kidding. If you Roar of Sacrifice a target immediately when you see Combust, the mage does less damage on that target than he would have if he didn't combust. Like, because non-combustion outside Roar of Sacrifice does more damage than combustion inside Roar of Sacrifice, because you can't crit. His combustion is completely invalidated, and you take 20% less damage. So, it's a communication spell. Try to set up, like, if you meet a red paladin or fire mage, try to set up, if you're in Discord with your teammates, try to set up ground rules for, like, what do you do when combustion happens or wings happens, right? If you're playing, like, let's say you're playing jungle, right? Talk to your hunter. Be like, hey, what are we going to trade first? Do we trade my Trinket Dome or do we trade your Roar of Sacrifice? Usually, make it Roar of Sacrifice. You know? And just instantly press it when you see it. Like, when you see combustion, get this weak aura. I'm not even kidding. Join the Discord, get this weak aura that I was showing you. It will literally... Can I test it somehow? Show you how it looks? It will literally... Yeah, here we go. It'll literally pop a combustion sign here in your face, and you, like, if you want to, you can make it bigger, right? You can fucking make it. You can make it like this if you want. Boom. Fucking combustion in your face. Like, press something, right? Maybe don't make it this, because then you literally can't see where you press your dome. But you can make it like a big combustion, right? You can make it bigger and get this weak aura. It's so good. So good. But yeah, those especially these 3 cooldowns. These are like the 3 cooldowns in the game where I'm like, fuck, dude, somebody's dead, right? It's these 3. Okay, let's go on. Vendetta. Here you go. If you see an assassination rogue, press Vendetta. Either avoid the Vendetta by CCing the rogue or you know, getting away from the rogue or something, or trade a cooldown. Don't just tank Vendetta. Don't just stand in the rogue's face and be like, I'll just heal through it because the damage doesn't seem high. Because Vendetta is like that kind of... He presses it, and then over the next 10 seconds, his damage just goes up and up and up and up and up. Especially if he's like Venthyr and he presses Flagellation on top of that. It's like you don't really feel the initial, you know, he presses a cooldown and boom, your teammate is dead. It's not how it is. It's like Vendetta, and then 5 seconds after, you're like, oh shit, I couldn't heal it, you know? So, when you see Vendetta, if you can't get away, if you can't CC the rogue, if you can't press Dome or Rapture or PS, trade something for Vendetta. But don't panic when you see it. It's not like it's gonna be Vendetta and then you're dead 2 seconds after. It's a ramp up, indeed. Okay. Berserk. And I want to put Feralfrenzy together with Berserk. Just because, like, I track this. Because this is a big part of a Feral's rotation. So when you see Berserk, usually what's going to happen is the Feral is going to bite someone, and then he's going to Feralfrenzy and bite someone again. And both those bites have the potential to do like 14k damage each. So usually, like, try to look for it when you're playing with Ferals. Like, find out what they press usually after Berserk. I found that Feralfrenzy is one of the binds they usually press a few seconds after Berserk. And if they've pressed it, it means, you know, they're going to do a lot of damage. But Berserk is the real cooldown here, right? Feralfrenzy is like a short cooldown. Berserk is the when you see that, either avoid the Feral, somehow, you know, shut him down or run away, or be ready for those triple bite big pumps from the Feral. And by being ready, I mean trade Dome or Rapture. PS if you're stunned, right? If you don't have a trinket and stuff. But Dome or Rapture, if you get trapped up and you see a Feral press Berserk, your teammate has no trinket Dome. There's no way your teammate survives a Berserk from a Feral if you're CC'd for 8 seconds and the teammate doesn't have trinket. He's dead. So trade something for that. Okay, Trueshot Aura. Let's continue in the jungle fantasy here. Trueshot Aura by a hunter. Press something. Trade something for Trueshot. When a hunter presses Trueshot, big damage is about to come in. Really big damage is about to come in. Usually, what you'll see is Trueshot, and then you'll see these two as well. Trueshot, Resonating Aura, and then we'll see double tap, and rapid fire. Or aim shot into double tap rapid fire. And that combo literally kills a person, but it's such a weird kill because it's like you see him press the whole thing, and your teammate's health is 100%, and all the arrows are flying towards your teammate. It's like, and then your teammate died. Boom. Like, while the arrows are flying, because he just hit aim shot, rapid fire, aim shot, like, in the span of 0.2 seconds. But in reality, he actually did it in 3 seconds. They just all hit at the same time. So when you see Trueshot Aura, be afraid. Try to avoid it. If you can't avoid it, trade a cooldown like Dome. Rapture is not enough for Trueshot Resonate. Like, Rapture is not enough to save someone from this combo. So trade Dome for it. Trade PS for it. And sometimes even like Dome into Rapture. It's not quite as insane as Combustion or Wings. But definitely be afraid of that cooldown. Gonna put it up here as well. Like, remember, this doesn't mean that Resonating Arrow alone is S tier. Resonating Arrow is like A tier. Trade like a minus CD or heal or avoid it, right? Double tap is like situational. If your teammate's low, maybe press something. Otherwise, just heal through it. But with Resonating Arrow, I got there. With Resonating Arrow, just trade something. Okay. Yeah. If they press these 3, trade something. Right. Let's take the next one. Let's continue in the Hunter world. Coordinated Assault from a Survival Hunter. Okay. Another S tier cooldown. Well, let's put it in situational, because Coordinated Assault is like sometimes. No, let's put it in S tier. Coordinated Assault is literally a plus 20% damage buff to a Survival Hunter. And Survival Hunters do a big damage already. So when they press that, immediately either respond with a cooldown or somehow run away from the Hunter or somehow shut him down. If you then if you run away and he on top of that uses Resonating Arrow, again, be afraid, right? Because that means he's gonna shoot you through a pillar with full damage from ranged with 20% extra damage. It's not like shit, the Hunter pressed the Coordination Assault, now I'm just gonna die. It's not how it is, but it is a cooldown to be reckoned with, and one I think you should track. You don't need to track this Resonating Arrow, don't need to track that. It's literally a big fat fucking arrow on your screen. Double tap, however, might be a good thing to track. Yeah. Coordinated Assault, trade something. If he presses, more stuff, look at your teammate's health, be ready to react to whatever happens next. Bestial Wrath. Now, situational. The reason for this is, I swear, Beastmaster Hunters have Bestial Wrath 90% of the time. They have it all the time. So obviously you can't look at Bestial Wrath and be like, oh, I'll trade a cooldown. Because you'll have to trade a cooldown every 20 seconds. It's situational. If a Hunter presses Bestial Wrath and then presses Resonating Arrow, then presses double tap, or I don't think he has double, but presses other cooldowns, presses more stuff, traps you and stuff, be ready to respond. Be aware of what's going on in the game. Be ready to respond with something. But don't just automatically trade a cooldown for Bestial Wrath. And I don't even think you should necessarily track it. I don't actually track Bestial Wrath, because it's so obvious. The Hunter turns into a big giant and goes red. And yeah, in and of itself, it's a 25% damage increase. It does do a lot, but he has it so often that it would be annoying to try and think, oh, I need to press something every time you see it, because it would just mess with everything else. Like, BM Hunters just do constant, really, really high damage, and you do need to trade cooldowns often, but don't see Bestial Wrath and be like, okay, I have to trade Dome, See what happens. Find out what Beastmasters usually do when they press Bestial Wrath. Like, if you're playing against the same guy 4 or 5 times, try to figure out his mindset. Like, oh, Bestial Wrath, and then he immediately Resonating Arrow, and then he trapped me and pressed all these cooldowns. Trade something when he presses it. But if, he presses Bestial Wrath to get out of fear or something, maybe you don't need to be so afraid. Okay. Stormkeeper. Situational. Well, let's put it here. It's S tier. I'm gonna put Echoingshock. Actually, I'm gonna put these two together in situational. So, Stormkeeper is the kind of cooldown that when you see it, you need to immediately have your mind on. Be like, okay, let's see what, like, be ready for the next coming, 10, 20 seconds. If your teammate is stunned up and a shaman starts casting Stormkeeper, you need to trade something right now. The shaman is about to one-tap your teammate. Dome and Rapture are usually the best choices. If you see a shaman press Echoingshock, I'll talk about that in a second, but you need to dispel Flame Shock when you see Echoingshock. And I'll talk about why in a second. I'll talk a little bit more about this ability. But Stormkeeper, basically what it does is he presses Stormkeeper, and then when he finishes the cast doesn't do anything in and of itself, but the next two lightning bolts he does like 10k damage and hits you twice. So it's literally, if he presses Stormkeeper and hits you twice with lightning, like gets 2 globals on you, you just fucking flop. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll press, Stormkeeper, Echoingshock, Lava Burst, and then double lightning bolt, and your teammate will die from that combo if you don't react. So if you see him press Stormkeeper and then Echoingshock, the first thing you do is you dispel Flame Shock, and then you trade cooldowns if you can't avoid it. But it's situational because Stormkeeper is like, sometimes shamans just press it to try and force cooldowns, and you don't want to just use a cooldown just because a shaman presses Stormkeeper. You need to be aware of what he presses right after Stormkeeper, right? And what kind of situation your teammate is in. Does he have any cooldowns? Does he have Trinket? Is he stunned up? Is he low health? If he's low health and Stormkeeper goes off, immediately trade something, because if he's 30% health and he gets a lightning bolt with Stormkeeper, your teammate is dead. Echoingshock, let's talk about that, because that's something a lot of people do wrong. And something I did wrong until recently when I read what the spell does. So, Echoingshock, what it does is, the next spell you cast hits twice, right? Does a little bit less damage, but it hits twice. The next spell you cast hits twice. It has a 30-second cooldown. When you see Echoingshock, track it. I'm not even kidding. Go into Omnibar. Go into CDs or whatever bar you have. Like I have a bar down here, down here for CDs. Go into Omnibar, go down to Shaman, and find Echoingshock and press it. It's a 30-second cooldown that makes the next spell the Shaman casts to be cast a second time. And not only is it cast a second time, it has a chance to overload on that second time. So, like, sometimes he'll press Echoingshock, Lava Burst, and then Lava Burst will hit you 4 times. And especially if he uses it with the Shaman Covenant ability. What the Shaman Covenant ability does, the Necrolord one, Elemental Shaman, is it makes your next time you cast Lava Burst, you cast Lava Burst on all targets with Flame Shock an additional time. So if he presses his Covenant ability and then Echoingshock, the next Lava Burst can hit you 6 times. It'll hit 3 times, but he has a mastery, right, that makes him cast more shit. So it's like he can press Echoingshock and you can die from 6 Lava Bursts that just crit you 8k. So, but the complete and utter counter to this is as soon as he presses Echoingshock, and you have to be fast, you have to be ready. Like, maybe I would consider having it up here again so you can see, like, Echoingshock instantly dispel the guy he's doing it on. Because it completely fucks the Shaman. If he presses Echoingshock and you dispel Flame Shock, he has 2 options. He can either press Flame Shock again, then Echoingshock presses Flame Shock twice, and then the burst isn't going to be as big. Or he can press Lava Burst without having Flame Shock on the target he wanted to kill, and then Lava Burst won't crit. He might hit it 3 times still, sure, but it'll be like 4k each. It'll be a really wet noodle spell. So, the best possible scenario reaction to Echoingshock is dispelling Flame Shock on whatever target he's killing. Okay? If you can learn to do that, Elemental Shamans will fucking hate you. Like, I've had shamans, good shamans, whisper me like, oh my god, not another priest who has learned this, They hate it. They absolutely hate it. It's gonna fuck his burst so hard. Alright. Infernal. Situational. Infernal is the kind of spell that the Warlock can use very defensively or very offensively. Usually, if he uses it defensively, he'll turn it into an offense push. But no matter what, it's very situational because now that Infernal isn't tied up to this Azeroth power like it was last season, where you get more Chaos Ball damage, it's a cooldown that I see a lot of Warlocks use just to make the other team press something. Like, heal Infernal, then you Trinket, right? And then it's like, oh shit, you wasted Trinket, and the Warlock's just like, ha ha, I'm not gonna press anything else, right? And the next time you get stunned, you're fucked. So look what happens. If he presses Infernal and Dark Soul, it's like up here, right? It's like fuck off. Get the fuck out and goodbye. Like, and press all your cooldown. Not all your cooldown, but press something, right? But if you just press this Infernal, look what happens next. Look what happens next. If the Shaman immediately after pressing Infernal casts Chaos Bolt, fuck off. Get lost. Or press a cooldown, Trinket, whatever. But if he just presses Infernal and then starts casting Immolate or something, then it was probably a bait. If he presses Infernal and you can see, like, his Holy Priest, like, running in, with greater faith in himself, he's probably gonna double fear you and start casting Chaos Bolt. Trade something. But don't just trade something just because you see Infernal, because you can easily just line. Like, if you see Infernal and you're like, okay, he's gonna press something, run around the pillar with the Infernal, out-heal the immolation damage. It does do quite a bit of damage, but it's nothing that you can't out-heal. You can actually out-heal it with Atonement. So, yeah. Be wary of it, but don't immediately react, panic press Dome or something, just because you see Infernal. The real cooldown is Dark Soul. Incarnation, Druid. It's up here again. This is the last cooldown that's like up here. Last cooldown that's up here. Incarnation, especially when used with Convoke, right? Especially when used with Convoke. Incarnation is, like, hits just as hard as these three. Like, and even without Convoke, like a Kyrian Boomkin, when he presses Incarnation, he can, like, Star Search you 3 times for 15k each with, like, a 1-second global. And that can just kill you through Rapture. So when you see Incarnation, run, avoid it somehow. Like, get the fuck out. And if you know that you're gonna be taking Star Search hits, trade something. Either Rapture if you know you're gonna be gone soon. Like, if you know you're gonna be, okay, maybe you're gonna get hit by 1 Star Search, maybe trade Rapture. If you're gonna get hit by 2 Star Search, maybe trade Rapture. If you get stunned up and he can incarnations, and it's on you, for example, Trinket, Dome, pierce yourself. Like, don't do both of those, but either Trinket, Dome, or pierce yourself, right? And be ready to Radiance, be ready to Rapture anyway. It is so much damage. Even with PS, our Incarnation Star Searches will still be doing like 10k. And another thing to remember is it's only at the start of the Star Search, start of the Incarn, that they're so scary. It's because Resto Druids play with this legendary. This legendary here. Druid Balance. They play with this one. So at the start of Incarnation, Druids basically have like almost a 100% chance to just crit you every Star Search. But they lose that, like, let's say 5 seconds into Incarn, it's gone. They don't have extra crit anymore. So it's at the first 5 seconds of Incarn that are important. And, as soon as you see Incarn, just be ready to react immediately. You have to react with something. No matter what you do, you have to react with something. And even if you kick Convoke, like if he Incarns Convokes, he might still have 3 Star Searches waiting for you. So don't just be like, oh, I kick Convoke, we're fine. No, you kick Convoke, still be ready to react to the damage, okay? Of course, like with all cooldowns, like I said, with all cooldowns, if let's say a Rogue and a Boomkin opens on you, and they press like Incarn Convoke, and the Rogue stuns you, right? and they're on top of you, what's the best cooldown to press? Nothing. You press Trinket Fear. If they then trinket and keep pumping you, then you trade a cooldown. Then you've traded. Then you don't think of it as you've traded 2 cooldowns for 1. No, you've traded Trinket Fear for their cooldowns, and then you've traded Dome for their trinket, right? So like with all cooldowns here, if you can just CC the guy immediately without taking damage, just do that before you press anything. But if not, react. Like, react to this. Press Dome, or press PS, or press Rapture, Trinket, get the fuck out of there, whatever. Find out what works. Like, I find that this is a very... Sometimes it can be hard to know what to trade against this, because sometimes Dome is enough, sometimes it's not. Sometimes Rapture is enough if, you know, it very much depends on how good geared Boomkin is and how well he uses it. If he uses Incarn and immediately presses Star Search 3 times and he has good gear, it pumps so hard. It hurts so much. So yeah, just react immediately. Whatever you do, react immediately when you see Incarn. You have 1 second from Incarn gets popped till you start taking a lot of damage. Okay. Arcane Power. Now I know Arcane Mages are not very... Oh, it's supposed to go here. I know Arcane Mages are not very, very popular right now, but they do exist. And when an Arcane Mage presses Arcane Power, and it's usually followed, or usually before, Mark of a Luneth comes, right? When you see Arcane Power, a Mage is about to do a lot of damage to you. And, like, annihilate your health. I've only put it in S tier though, because usually it's pretty easy to avoid, right? Just like if a rogue and an arcane mage on you, if you see him press Arcane Power and just spam missiles on you, Trinket Dome Rapture, then it's like Combust, you know, then it does a lot of damage. Like, but if you see him press Arcane Power and he's like spamming missiles on you and you're behind, like you're at a pillar, you can just like Rapture, run around the pillar, right? Then you get hit by those initial missiles, which do like 40-50% of your health. But the thing with Arcane Power that makes it easier to react to is a lot of the damage comes from arcane missiles, and you can see them before they come. You can see like, oh, here they come, do, right? And then you have that half a second extra to react to like, oh, he's doing it, he's doing the thing, you know? And Mark of a Luneth is a casted ability that he usually uses before doing that, and that makes it even easier to see. If you see Mark of a Luneth and Arcane Power, treat it like a Combust. But if you just see Arcane Power, like, react to it or avoid it, but don't press everything. It's not gonna, like, you're not gonna die again in 1 second. You're gonna die in 3 seconds or 4 seconds, right? If you don't press something, but not in 1 second. It's not gonna be like a Combust or a Wings where you lose 90% of your health in the next half a second after it gets pressed. Let's do Iceform. And Icyveins to some extent. These two. Okay. Icyveins / Iceform. So basically what Iceform is Icyveins. So if you track Icyveins, you track Iceform, okay? Iceform is a PvP talent for Frost Mages that when they press ice, it turns their Icyveins into Iceform instead, which has a 1 minute cooldown and increases Frostbolt damage by 30%, and it makes them immune to stuns. It's a super scary cooldown if they get to cast Frostbolt. If they don't get to cast Frostbolt, it does nothing. It literally does nothing. Like, I'll show you. Look here, Iceform Wowhead, right? Go into Iceform. Increasing your Frostbolt damage done. It doesn't increase their damage or their haste. It only increases Frostbolt. And then gives them immunity to stun and knockback. It's a really good utility spell. It's really good when a mage gets to cast. But if you just stop them from casting, it does nothing. So if you're a rogue and you see a mage press Iceform, don't try to stun them because they're immune for the next 12 seconds. But just kick their Frostbolt. Kick Frost, and they do nothing. They do nothing, like, at all. And then just avoid the Frostbolts. If they do, if you know you can't stop Frostbolts, if you know, okay, they're gonna do Frostbolt into Nova and then Frostbolt into some more shit, they're gonna do a fuck ton of damage. Then it's gonna be like up here again, you know? So react to that. Trade Rapture or Dome, or dispel the Novas. Dispel the Novas, so they don't, you know, so they don't shatter. The problem with this one is that they have something called Deep Shatter as well, which increases Frostbolt damage done by 150%. And that coupled up with this makes Frostbolt crit, you know, a lot. But it's very easy to stop. Just, you know, either kick it or trade a cooldown or avoid it, or, you know, anything to not get hit by shattered Frostbolts. If you're just casting Frostbolt and you can dispel the Nova and stuff, then you might not even need to trade something. It's a very situational cooldown, like I said. The same goes for Icyveins, and even, like, this is even worse than Frostform. This is a 2-minute cooldown, gives them 20% haste. Like, I would have put it down here. But, actually, you know what? I will put it... Nah, I'll put it in situational. Because the problem is, Icyveins in and of itself doesn't do anything. It does not do anything. It just gives them haste. It's what comes next that you need to react to. When you see Icyveins, be ready for them to do some kind of offensive push. Right? Like, if they press Icyveins and they immediately go for a poly on you, you get polyed up. You can expect there's probably a lot of Ice Lances coming on your rogue. If you see Frozen Orb on top of that, you know, on your rogue, on your teammate. Sorry, I'm just used to RMP. Big damage in general is about to show up. But don't trade anything just because of Icyveins. The cooldown is in and of itself is down here, right? And I'm gonna put the cooldowns where they belong. If you only see that cooldown after this, like Shadowdance, it'll be down here as well. You know, this one will be here, stuff like that. But for now, they're on situational, so I can explain. Right. Darkglare. Darkglare is... If you just tank the Darkglare, it does a lot of damage. If you see Darkglare plus Dark Soul, it does a lot of damage. But Darkglare in and of itself, just trade a minor CD, like, you know, a Radiance, or heal through it. Or avoid it. Like, you don't need to see Darkglare and be like, fuck, he's about to kill us. Because he'll press Darkglare a lot. And it does a lot of damage, but you can even kick the Darkglare. You can, like, if you're like a warrior or a rogue and you're standing next to the Darkglare and you see your priest at 40% health, or you're like whatever at 40% health, just kick it. Boom. It does no damage for 5 seconds. It's when he presses Dark Soul Darkglare. That's when you're afraid. But yeah. Demonic Tyranny, or Demonic Tyrant, is an S tier cooldown. In that it's not actually the most insane cooldown, but when he presses it, you need to either avoid it or trade a major CD. It does a lot of damage. Okay? So when he presses that, react to it, press a cooldown, or avoid it. By lossing it, you know? By lossing it, or kicking it, or stunning it up, or fearing it, or whatever. Just don't take damage from it without pressing anything. That's very simple, you know? Yeah, when you see that, it's the big warlock pet. It's gonna, like, follow you and stand like this. Throw some fireballs at you. Right. The Hunt is an S tier cooldown. I would put it here. But it's a situational cooldown in that because of how it gets used. But if it hits you, you need to either be full health and avoid it, like run away, get you know, be ready to heal it up, or you need to trade a cooldown. If you're stunned and you're 40% and you see the Hunt, you need to trade something, or you're just dead. But it's also a situational cooldown because of the way Demon Hunters use it. And the way they use it is, the hunt can be cancelled. So mid cast, they can like they can do like this, you know. They can like, let's say my smite is the hunt, right? They can do like this, the hunt, and then they stop, just to make you press a cooldown. The hunt, stop. The hunt, stop until you've pressed all your cooldowns. Then they stun you up, press the hunt, and crit you for 30k, right? So what you want to do with the hunt is if you know it's gonna hit, which you don't always know, but if you want to trade a major cooldown or avoid it. And the way to avoid it is, if you're a warrior, you can press parry and face the demon hunter. You parry the hunt. If you're a rogue, you can press evasion and you'll evasion the hunt. If you're a priest, you can, you know, if you're a holy priest or a shadow priest, you can press greater fade and you'll fade the hunt. The scarier the hunts are when you're stunned up, right? When you're stunned up, and because you don't want to use trinket if he doesn't the hunt. That's like, you know, it's the bait he wants to do. He stuns you up, and then he casts the hunt. Usually, what happens from most Demon Hunter players, what I've experienced is they want to do damage in the stun, right? So they'll start with doing damage, and then at the end of the stun, they'll do the hunt. Which is actually, I feel like, a mistake from them, because they should start with the hunt. If you're not 100% health, they should start with the hunt to make you trinket, and then just like not press anything else. And next go, they have everything for you, right? But usually, what they'll do is they do a little bit of damage, and then they'll hunt you. And if you can see that you will be able to press a global before he hits you with the hunt, there's a little bit of time before the hunt goes off till it actually hits you, right? So it's a 1.5 sec cast, or 1 sec or whatever, but from the second it goes off, he's gonna like boom, and then he's gonna hit you, right? It's gonna be a little bit of leeway time. So especially if you have a cooldown that can completely nullify the hunt, try to use that time to trade. It's really short amount of time. You have like 0.2 seconds to react. But if you're like ready to press fade and you see he completed the cast, you press fade, right? Then you will immune it. As a Disc Priest, you don't have that option. You have to, you need to pre-react to it. But you can react with Trinket Dome in that time if you have like a Trinket Dome macro, or if you're really fast. But yeah, let's assume it hits. It is something where you want to trade a major CD for before it hits, because a good the hunt can do like 30k damage on you, and a bad the hunt can do like 8k. So it is very situational, but I've put it up here because it's something people die to a lot, and people need to be aware. When you see the hunt, it can hit really hard. All right. Let's put Bloodlust. Okay. So Bloodlust, I'll put here. Bloodlust specifically, this is the enhancement shaman thing, you know, in PvP they can Bloodlust them and a teammate for 10 seconds on a 45-second cooldown. And when they do, both of them get 30% haste. It's really strong. When they couple it up with Ascendance, which they usually do, fucking trade cooldowns and run away, you know. But when it's just used on its own, you know, it's scary by all means, but be wary of what else is going on. Can you get away? Can you just move away and not take damage? Don't press Dome, right? If he Bloodlusts a warrior while the warrior presses Warbreaker or Avatar, it's like Ascendance, right? It does a lot of damage. But it's a little bit situational, but I've put it here because you want to do one of these two things. If he presses Bloodlust, either trade a cooldown or somehow avoid it. Or somehow move away. But, you know, if he presses Bloodlust while the Shaman alone is on you, and the warrior is like far away or something, maybe don't, trade all your cooldowns, maybe just press Rapture or something. That's also a general thing for these A-tier cooldowns, is you, in the optimal situation, try to trade Rapture, not Dome. These are the Dome cooldowns. These are like, you can trade Dome for these, like, I'm just saying, like, if you can trade Rapture, if you're not gonna get CC'd, if you know that the damage incoming, if it's like not two of these cooldowns but only one, you can just trade Rapture. And if it's gonna hit several people, you need to trade Dome. But it's, yeah, everything is a little bit situational, right? But it's a scary cooldown. Be ready to react to it, but don't overreact to it. These are the ones you should overreact to.